Hello everyone, today we will discuss the peritoneum. Now what is this peritoneum? It is the fibroserous membrane which lines the abdominal as well as the pelvic cavity. As I have told you, fibroserous membrane. So this is fibroserous membrane which lines the abdominal and pelvic cavity. Now if we see the histological picture, histologically, so it is made up of two layers. So what are those two layers? As the name is indicating, it has fibrous layer, it has mesothelial lining. Now this fibrous layer is giving strength to the peritoneum. Why? Because it is made up of fibrous tissue. Now this mesothelial lining is going to secrete the serous fluid. Now this serous fluid is lubricating the inner surface and helps in the free movement of the viscera. So histologically, if we see the picture, it is made up of two layers. Now, as we know that there is a peritoneal sac. Now, this peritoneal sac or this peritoneal cavity, as we have discussed in our development of the GIT, this peritoneal sac is invaginated by the various viscera. Now, once these various viscera, they are invaginating the peritoneal sac, so the different parts of peritoneum, they are formed. So, what are those? So that is peritoneal sac is invaginated by the various viscera. So what are the different parts? First is parietal peritoneum, the parts. Then second is visceral peritoneum. And third is, that is various folds or peritoneal folds. So these are the three parts of the peritoneum once the peritoneal sac is invaginated by the different viscera. So I will just give you a clue of that. Suppose this is the peritoneal sac and here is the viscera. Solid viscera is lying here. So once it is invaginating the cavity, this is formed like this. Now, if we see, it has outer covering now, it has inner covering. This outer covering is given the name parietal because it is lining the inner surface of the abdominal and pelvic cavity. And this parietal peritoneum is separated from the abdominal and pelvic cavity by extraperitoneal tissue. Now this extraperitoneal tissue is present in varying amount at different parts of the body. So the fat may be present there. At some places the fat is more. So they are just filling that space. Clear? Now this parietal peritoneum is developing from where now? It is developing from somatopleuric mesoderm, which is lining the inner surface of the abdominal and pelvic cavity, and it is pain sensitive. This is important because it is just close to the body wall, to the parietal portion or parietal of the body wall. So pain sensitive, it is pain sensitive. Now coming to the visceral peritoneum. Now this visceral peritoneum is in close relation to the viscera. It is very much closely adherent to the viscera and it is very difficult to separate this layer from the viscera. So it is developing from where? Visceral is developing from where? It is developing from subplanchno pleuric mesoderm. These things we have discussed in our development of GIT. Now, as it is developing from subplanchno pleuric mesoderm, it is pain insensitive and supplied by autonomic nerves. So this is important regarding visceral peritoneum. Now coming to the folds of or various peritoneal folds. So once they are the various viscera, they are invaginating into the peritoneum. So what is happening? It is hanging from the posterior abdominal wall by a double fold peritoneum. Suppose if we see this diagram. This is the peritoneal fold. So the viscera is just entering into it like this. So this is the viscera. Now this is the double layer fold of peritoneum which is just holding the viscera. So definitely what will be the function of this fold now? It is providing what? Mobility to the viscera. The viscera can easily mobile, the organ can move easily. Then second important feature is the various vessels and nerves, they are just getting way to reach the viscera. So this is the important thing regarding this peritoneal fold. Clear? Keeping in mind this. So these peritoneal folds are of different type. We call the organ intraperitoneal. First category is intraperitoneal, is when whole of the viscera is enclosed in the peritoneal fold. Clear? So what are those organs? We know the various organs which are completely lying in the peritoneum, that is stomach, jejunum, ileum. So all are covered by the peritoneum. Now second important point regarding this is retroperitoneal. Now what is this retroperitoneal? It means the viscera is anteriorly covered by the peritoneum like this. So here is the posterior abdominal wall. So anteriorly it is covered by the peritoneum, posteriorly it is in relation to the abdominal wall. So partially you can say on the anterior side it is covered by it. It is lying outside the peritoneal sac. So these are retroperitoneal. And third category is that category when the transformation it happens. Transformation means between this and that. Initially the fold is present. Once the rotation of the gut is happening, rearrangement of the various viscera is happening in the abdominal cavity. So some of the viscera, they change their position. Suppose it is coming like this. They are moving towards the wall. They are pushed by the posterior abdominal wall, and another stage is coming to is next stage. It comes like this. So it is covered by this, and this wall is completely fusing with this wall. So it is resting on that. So anteriorly that viscera is covered by the membrane, and posteriorly it is resting on this, and that phenomena is known as zygosis. So this is important. Now coming to the different folds, if as I am just saying that the various fold they are present, they are hanging the various viscera. So I told you what are the different functions of this fold, but what are the different categories which we can explain under these folds if a question comes. In my today's lecture, I will just enumerate the structure, but those folds I will discuss in my next lecture. So various types of the fold. We categorize the peritoneal folds into number one, ligaments. These are the ligaments are basically the part of the peritoneal fold which just hold the solid viscera as liver. Now if we see the liver, suppose this is the abdominal cavity which is coming, and liver is here. So here is the diaphragm. So this, to keep this solid viscera in the abdomen in position, so these ligaments, they play an important role. So the best example of this is the falciform ligament. Then comes the coronary ligaments, and then comes the triangular ligament. They hold the liver in position. So this is diaphragm. This is liver. So these are the ligaments which are coming from the surface of the liver. So this here is the umbilicus is lying in the abdominal cavity. So the falciform ligament is coming like this and running on the surface of the liver. Clear? Then a rearrangement of these layers is happening in the form of coronary ligament and left and right triangular ligaments. So these are the examples of this. That is falciform ligament, coronary ligament, then triangular ligament. But these ligament part of the peritoneal fold, they hold the solid viscera in position. Clear? Second category is omentum. So this omenta word is for stomach. It is giving attachment to the stomach. So with this, the stomach is attached to the various structures. So what are those now? Omenta, that is number one is greater omentum. Now this greater omentum, it is extending from the greater curvature of the stomach, and it is going to attach the stomach to the transverse colon. So this is the function of the greater omentum. As I have told you, omenta word is for stomach. It is giving attachment to the stomach. By this stomach is attached to the various viscera. So out of this one, greater omentum is just giving attachment to the greater curvature or extending between the greater curvature and transverse colon. That we will discuss in detail in my next lecture, how the greater omentum is present in the body. Then is lesser omentum. Now lesser omentum, what is the function of this lesser omentum? It is just holding the suppose this is the stomach. Here it is just holding the or hanging the lesser curvature of the stomach with the ligamentum venosum and the porta hepatis. So that ligamentum venosum and porta hepatis is giving or hanging the stomach from the lesser curvature. With this, it is attached to which organ? That is to the liver. So this is the lesser omentum. So greater curvature or greater omentum is giving attachment or giving, you can say, attach the stomach to the transverse colon. Lesser omentum is just holding or just attaching the stomach to the liver through this ligamentum venosum and the ligament around the porta hepatis through this. So that membrane is extending between these two structures. So that is lesser omentum. So lesser omentum is just present between the lesser curvature of stomach and liver through ligamentum venosum and porta hepatis. Clear? Then third type is gastrosplenic. Gastrosplenic is basically extending from the greater curvature of stomach to the hilum of spleen. So you can see it is just present along the greater curvature. So if there is a greater omentum over here, so gastrosplenic is just extending or attaching the stomach to the spleen, going to the hilum of spleen. Is it clear? So these are the, next is ligament, omenta, and third is the mesentery. Mesenteries. Now mesenteries are just attaching the, or they are just enclosing the various parts of the intestine. Not all the parts of the intestine, but various parts of the intestine. So these are the basically introduction of the peritoneum. That peritoneum has what are the different parts of the peritoneum, how the different parts are formed. Basically when the peritoneal sac is invaginated by the various viscera, so the different parts of the peritoneum, they are formed. We just give them a different name. Is it clear? Now if we just give them a different name, they are doing their different function. So basic function of the peritoneum is mobility. That is very important. That is very important for any viscera. So it provides the mobility. So what are the other functions of the peritoneum? It just protect the various viscera. So phagocytic action of the peritoneal cells which are present in the peritoneal fluid. So they just prevent the various viscera. Then next function is absorption. So mesothelial cells, they do that function towards absorption of the excessive fluid from the peritoneal cavity. So storage of fat, that is the next function. So definitely it is cushioning the various viscera. So these are the different functions of the peritoneum. And what are the different folds of the peritoneum? That is, those are ligament, omenta, and mesenteries. So in today's lecture, I will discuss this much only. But in my next lecture, we will discuss the different sacs, because in between the parietal and visceral peritoneal covering, the space present is known as the peritoneal sac. So accordingly, we will discuss that, what is greater sac, what is lesser sac, but in my next lecture. Thank you very much.